Welcome to Empowered Wellness with Shito. Today I'd like to share with you a yoga routine that is especially helpful to release tension all along the spine, from the neck all the way down to the tailbone, and also in releasing tightness in the major joints of the hips and the shoulders. So this is kind of a signature sequence of mine because I pretty much teach it to everyone that I work with. And so if you've worked with me before as a wellness coaching client, or if you've attended any of my workshops, this might seem familiar to you because we've probably done it before. And if you've never worked with me before, I hope that you'll enjoy this particular sequence and you'll feel the benefit of it as I'm suggesting. So what we need for this particular practice are a few things. First, I've got my yoga bolster here. I've got one blanket, and it can be a yoga blanket or it can be any kind of blanket that has some firmness to it, that's not really squishy. And then I've got two blocks. Now, if you don't have yoga props at your home, you can certainly use other things in place. So for example, instead of the yoga blocks, you might bring some cushions or pillows to use as supports. And we're going to use these under our knees and our thighs. In place of a bolster, what you could do is simply use your yoga mat. So if you're doing this at home and if you're doing it on a carpeted surface, then instead of being on your yoga mat, you could just roll up your yoga mat, place it vertically in that rolled position, and then take maybe another blanket and put it over the yoga mat to give it a little cushioning, and that'll suffice in place of a bolster. And if you don't have a yoga mat at all, simply take a couple blankets and roll them just like this and use that in place of a bolster. So it may not be as big, but it doesn't really need to be as big. So that's another option. And finally, you really could do everything we're doing without any props at all. The purpose of the props, especially the one for the head here, the blanket that we're going to use for our neck, and the blocks that we're going to use for under our knees and thighs, is to create some comfort and some support to the body. So otherwise, but the bolster you really don't need. It just gives us a little extra oomph, for lack of a better word. It gives us a little more, helps us create a little more opening along the spine, helping us to create a little bit of curvature, a little bit of extension in the spine, and we don't get a lot of that. But again, not necessary. In the end, if you did this lying flat, and sometimes if people have any back issues, especially lower back issues, where it's not good to extend the back, in that case, you probably don't want the bolster anyway. So in that case, you're going to just do whatever we're doing, lying flat on the mat, excuse me, or on your carpet. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so we're going to start by bringing ourselves right in front of the bolster, or whatever you're using for your support if you are using one, and gently ease yourself. Have your blocks or supports nearby. Gently ease yourself onto your support, and then make some adjustments so that your head is supported. We're bringing that folded blanket right under the base of the head, right at the neck. And the key thing we're looking for here is that our forehead is at least level with the chin or higher than the chin. So here you can see that my forehead is higher than my chin. What we don't want is for our forehead to be back lower than our chin, because that puts extra strain on the spine. So get yourself settled there, and then we bring the blocks to support our thighs, just like that. And so we're set up basically in a nice supported bound angle, supine bound angle. We often call this pose resting butterfly in the yin world. Bring your arms to rest at your side. Now here again, if this is causing some extra strain at the shoulders because we've elevated the torso, you could bring extra blankets or some cushions under your arms so that your arms are raised and therefore you're not feeling as much stretch at the shoulder. So you can add as many supports as you need to this to make it comfortable. One last thing, if you're feeling any tension or compression at the lower back here, raise your knees up, lift your hips, kind of give a little wiggle, lengthen your tailbone. So lengthen your tailbone away from the bolster, maybe create a little more space here, and then resituate yourself by bringing the hips back down, and then adjust your blocks or supports accordingly. So let's start out, and let's just settle here in this resting butterfly. So taking a few nice big breaths in and out. On the exhale, you might even sigh out, sound out. Let it all go here as you settle your body into your shape here of resting butterfly. One more last breath in and out. And then once you've let out that last big breath, just begin to take notice of your body and how it feels in this shape. Perhaps noticing if you're resisting anywhere, if you're tensing or activating. At this point, we don't need to really activate any of our muscles. Everything is pretty much supported here. So letting go of any engagement, any activation through the shoulders, the arms, the thighs, the back, and even the face. Notice if you're tensing the muscles of your face, gripping your jaw. Maybe you shake that jaw out a little bit. And we'll take a few more nice, big, full breaths here. Just find that nice rhythm of breathing. I like to call it circular breathing, where the inhale leads right into the exhale leads right into the inhale. And then we try to find an evenness of breath. So maybe you count your inhale and exhale, and it can be an even count of 3 or 4 or 5. Or maybe you just visualize that circle of breath, flowing in and out smoothly, fully, and rhythmically. Wonderful. With that next breath, on the inhale, let's gently bring our arms up towards the ceiling. So we're just going to reach both arms up to the ceiling. Our shoulders will lift up, and we're going to begin to do an alternating reach. Inhale and reach one arm up, and then relax it down on the exhale. Next in-breath, the other arm reaches up, and then exhale, and we relax it down. And just continue reaching up, and make this a really nice mindful movement. So the rest of the body stays situated, stays neutral. Notice if you're starting to engage the thighs or the jaw or any other part of the body as you're starting to do this movement, and relax the rest of the body. All of this is coming through the arms, and on the inhale, we reach. On the exhale, we relax, finding that alternate reach to loosen up those arms and shoulders and the upper back. And after you finish the next set, let's do it, but we're going to reach to the corner. So your right hand will reach to the left corner, and the left hand will reach to the right corner. So we're doing the same thing. We're basically adding a little bit of an upper body twist to what we were doing earlier. So flowing with this movement again. Let your breath guide you here. There's no rush, there's no hurry. In fact, we want the breath to lead the movement rather than the movement leading the breath. So finish the set, reaching to the corner, and then come back to center, taking both arms up again, lengthening both arms up through the shoulders. And on an exhale, gently begin to ease those extended arms back behind, trying to bring them by the ears. Now, if they don't make it all the way down by your ears, and if they're not fully lengthened, that's okay. Take them as far back as your shoulders and arms feel comfortable going. So even if that means you're here, above your head, not quite all the way back, that's okay. And even if your elbows might be slightly bent, that's okay. So fully be aware of where your edge is. Where's that first place of resistance where it feels okay to hold and to stretch without causing pain. That's the key. Discomfort is okay because we can breathe through discomfort. And in fact, we want to work through discomfort. That's how we're going to release the tension that we're holding. But we never want to go into that place of pain because that's not helpful at all. So we're going to take a few more nice full breaths here as you just lengthen, and maybe as you hold this and as you're breathing into the stretch here, you'll find that things are opening up for you. Your arms might even go back a little further. We're going to take one more nice big breath here. And the next time you breathe, you're going to bend the elbows and come into cactus arms. So the elbows will bend and come to the level and height of your shoulder blades, and the palms are facing up to the ceiling. Now just notice, if you were to look to either side to check out your arms, you notice if your elbows are kind of facing the floor and your hands are up at an angle. And what we want to do is roll the shoulder blades and roll the elbows so that the elbows and the hands are in line with each other. And as you do this, then you'll feel the shoulder blades pressing into the bolster or into your support or into the floor a little bit more. And that's what we want. We want to release those shoulder blades away from the ears and press the shoulder blades against the back of the ribs and into the bolster. So holding this cactus arm, so this might be a little challenging, but just see if you can hold it and breathe through it as best as you can. Notice if you're starting to over arc your lower back or tense through the hips, tense through the legs, and try to keep the lower body as neutral as possible. We're gonna hold it for a few more breaths. So there's our visiting guest. Hello, Gypsy. Nice of you to visit us. Then we're gonna take one more nice breath in. And then gently keep your elbows right where they are and extend those arms straight out into that T shape. So again, just checking to either side and making sure that your hand is below your line of sight rather than above your line of sight. If it's above your line of sight, you're more like a Y shape. And we want to release the shoulder blades down and keep the hands below our line of sight. So feel that traction through the arms. Now the arms might be getting a little tired. Maybe you're feeling a little bit of sensation through the shoulders, the arms. Wiggle those fingers, maybe roll the wrists around. Keep breathing here. Keeping the joints as soft as you can, the finger joints, the wrist joints, the elbow joints. Nothing rigid, nothing really tense. We want to keep the joints fluid and soft. So 2 more breaths here as you hold this T shape, soft face, everything else is neutral. And then on that next exhale, gently float those arms down. So wherever you float them, they could be out in the T or they might be closer to the body. That doesn't matter. Just allow those arms to float down and let them go. Just let them relax completely, releasing any tension from those arms. And just allow yourself to notice what you feel. Breathe into the shoulders, breathe into the arms. Just noticing sensations, noticing breath. Gypsy's making another appearance over here. She's playing with my right hand. You might not see her under the table, but she's enjoying this videoing just as much as I am. Wonderful. So with that next breath, we're going to inhale those arms up above again. So reaching up towards the ceiling, and this time, instead of taking our arms away from the body, we're actually going to bring the arms inward, and you're going to give yourself a hug. So the hand goes to the opposite, each hand goes to the opposite shoulder, giving yourself a hug, reaching for the opposite shoulder or shoulder blade as far as it feels comfortable. So a gentle, active reach, and then we're going to just rock side to side, loosening up and giving the shoulders and the upper back kind of an opposing stretch to what we just did. So after a few breaths like that, now we're just going to settle. So that activity, that engagement you were doing through the arms, just let it go. So just let the weight of the arms now sink into your chest. wherever that's comfortable for you, letting the arms sink into the chest and just breathing as you do so. Feel your shoulder blades sinking into your bolster or into the floor even more. The weight of the arms helping to create space between the shoulder blades and soften in that area. One more breath here, and then inhaling, reach up again. And as you lengthen on the exhale, cross the other way. So reaching actively, let's again actively maybe do some rocking here if that feels good. It's kind of like massaging your upper back a bit. And then come back to center, and then just relax the weight of your arms into your body. Let it go. Feel the back again pressing down. Feel space, imagine space being created between those shoulder blades in the upper back. And then inhaling one last time, the arms will come up, and exhaling, float them down. Just float them down anywhere to the floor, wherever it feels most comfortable for you. And let's do one thing before we get the legs involved. Let's do one thing with the head. So just gently turning the head left to right, loosening up the neck. After a few times of left to right, come back to center, and let's take the chin up towards the ceiling, and then roll the chin as if you're trying to tuck it under. Maybe imagine you're grabbing a piece of paper between your chin and your chest or something there. So we're just inhaling and creating a little extra curve of the neck, stretching the front of the neck, exhaling, flattening out the neck as we stretch the back of the neck. And then come back to neutral once again. So now back in neutral, relax. Allow your neck to be in a neutral curve. Allow your arms and shoulders to be relaxed. And now the upper body will remain neutral as we focus on the lower body. So gently bring your knees up, and you might even move the blocks out of the way if you don't think you'll need them. And having the knees pointing to the ceiling, let's take those feet a little bit wider, maybe even the width of the mat. Your arms are relaxed again. Upper body is neutral. And we're beginning to bring movement to the lower body now to release the hip joints. So we're just going to take those knees side to side, and you'll inhale at center, you'll exhale to either side. Again, finding your rhythm, what feels good to you. So after a few of these repetitions, let's take the knees all the way to the left. So this is where you might grab your blocks again. I move mine out of the way. But this is where if your left knee or leg doesn't come all the way down comfortably, you may actually want to put a block underneath or a cushion underneath. And your right leg is just going to hang. Your right thigh is going to hang out. So just allowing the weight of that right leg to go where it wants to go as far down as it will go comfortably. So notice if you're resisting that. Notice if you're resisting the pull of gravity on that right leg, and try to relax that. Try to relax into that pull, that natural pull of gravity. And then also, there's no need to help that leg. So there's no need to activate the muscles of the right thigh to push the leg down. Just let it go where it wants to go naturally, and we're going to hold it for a few breaths here. If you're finding yourself kind of falling off your bolster or finding yourself not being even, of course, so that you're more comfortable on your bolster at all times. And if at any point it starts getting uncomfortable to be on the bolster, you can certainly pause and remove the bolster and do this flat on your back. Once again, all of this can be done flat on the back. So one more breath here, really focusing on releasing tension through that right thigh. Not much to do other than breathe and work intentionally to let go of whatever you might be holding through that right thigh, right quadricep region in the front of the leg. And then we're going to tweak that foot. Now, if it feels okay, if you feel like you can go a little deeper and open up a little more through that right quadricep muscle group and into the hip flexor group, you can take that right foot a little bit further out and just find the next edge of resistance. So we don't have to go too far, sometimes just a little bit. And if you go too far and you feel like you need to come back, by all means, come back. But find that next edge and feel how you'll go a little deeper into that quadricep group as well as into the hip flexors on that right side. So once again, taking a few breaths here, just letting that open up, maybe even visualizing or imagining the areas where you're feeling that resistance, feeling any tension, softening, opening, releasing, whatever words make sense to you. We'll take 2 more breaths wherever you are with this. And then with that next breath, we're going to slowly bring that right foot over top the left. So as far as you can, you may not feel comfortable going all the way over, but if you do, take that right leg all the way over top to the left. If not, just take it as far over as it feels good to you. And we're going into this more traditional spinal twist. The arms can be anywhere that feels good. If you're comfortable taking them out in a T, great. If you prefer them to be closer to the body, that's fine too. Sometimes I like to even take my opposite hand, my left hand, and just kind of place it on my right hip or right thigh, and it just feels kind of nurturing and comforting. Oh, Gypsy, you want to do yoga with us, don't you, baby? You know, you just want to play. She's in a playful mood. She was napping when I started this video, but obviously she's found something more interesting to do, so she's joining us today. We're going to take 2 more breaths here in our spinal twist. And then with that next inhale, slowly bring those knees back up, and you might need to adjust yourself here on your bolster if you're still on your bolster. Resituate yourself, and then we'll again just do a few feet or wide apart and do a little side to side. And this time we're going to go over to the right side. So now the knees will fall to the right wherever they'll go. And again, if your right leg doesn't go all the way down, please support it. Don't let it hang. The right leg should be fully relaxed so we don't feel any activation in the right leg, and that we can focus fully on the left. So as you focus on your left thigh, we're breathing into the feelings of sensation wherever they are. Again, typically it's in the quadricep group at the front of the thigh, but you're maybe feeling something into the hip flexors already possibly, maybe into the lower back. We're going to hang out here for a handful of breaths. Sending breath into the areas of sensation, wherever that may be for you. Imagining the areas opening up, releasing, softening, easing. We're going to take 2 more breaths here. And as you finish your second breath, notice if your left side wants to go a little deeper. And if it does, you're going to tweak that left foot a little bit further away from center, find that next edge, and then allow yourself to settle into that next edge there. Going a little bit deeper into the opening through that quadricep region, through the hip flexors, maybe now again into the low back a little bit. Nice, smooth, full breaths here. We'll hold here for a handful of breaths as well. Following your breath. Two more breaths here. As you finish that second breath, slowly inch that left foot back towards center, and then you're going to take it all the way over, either all the way over on top of that right leg or as far over as you feel comfortable in your more traditional spinal twist. And just holding it there, letting go, releasing engagement, minimal engagement here as you hold this twist. This is all about releasing tension, finding those edges, finding those places of resistance in the body, and then working at those places of resistance, working at those edges to soften the edges, to move through that resistance, using the breath, using our intention. using the shape that we're making with our bodies to help us create more space within the body. And so we'll take 2 more nice big breaths here as well. Full circular rhythmic breaths. And as you finish your second breath, slowly bringing those knees back up one more time, situating yourself again comfortably. And now we'll take those legs straight out. We'll take those arms all the way up. Give yourself a nice full body stretch here. Breathing, a couple of nice big breaths, maybe even wiggling those fingers and toes a little bit. And then bringing those feet back up onto the mat. Slowly and carefully rolling to one side to ease yourself off your bolster. And slowly coming up. And as you come up, you'll then remove the props. And let's counter what we just did. First, by coming into table pose. So if you need to bring any supports under your wrists, please do. Knees are under the hips, hands are under the shoulders. Nice neutral spine. Get that flat back feeling, allowing for the natural curves of the spine to exist. And we'll do just a few cat-cows. Inhaling, crown and tail up. Exhaling, crown and tail down. Let your breath once again be your guide. The spine has been immobile for some time. Well, I shouldn't say immobile. We've been twisting the spine. We've been moving in the spine indirectly, but now we're moving the spine directly with our cat-cows, getting the energy flowing, getting circulation going all along that spine in a more active way now. We'll do 2 more cat-cow movements, and then we'll counter the extension we did in our backs with a little flexion. So as you come back to your neutral tabletop, take a breath in, and on the exhale, let's go into our child pose. So hips go to the heels, head can go either to the floor, or this is where, again, sometimes it may be helpful to have a support. And if your head doesn't comfortably go all the way down, you can use a block or some cushion or pillow to support your head. But I do recommend having the head supported rather than having it dangling. Because if you let the weight of your head just hang like this, eventually you're going to start engaging your neck muscles. And we don't want that. So even if you have to bring your fists under your head, that's fine too. So you find what's comfortable for you as you come into your child pose. And in your child pose, let's take a few nice big breaths. So I'm going to bring my head up so that you can hear me, but you're going to have your head down supported. Taking a nice few big breaths here. Feel the breath, fill that back body. Filling the back body completely. Letting go. And we'll take one more nice big breath here in our child pose. And then we're going to do a little side bending here. We did some twisting of the spine. We've done some extension. We just did some flexion. We did some twisting when we were on the bolster. And so the last movement of the spine we have yet to do is the side bending. So we're going to walk those hands over to the left side and trying to keep the torso long. Trying to keep as much space between the gut and the heart as possible. So lifting that rib cage, lengthening, and reaching with that right arm. The left arm could also be reaching, or you might even rest the left arm at your low back. You might rest your head on your right arm. You might even bring the right elbow down. That might be enough stretch for you to have the elbow down. So decide again where you feel comfortable and open up. And we're bringing awareness to that the right side of the body, from the right hip all the way up to the side of the rib cage, into that right shoulder,
And breathing into that, let it go. We'll take 2 more nice big breaths here, opening up the right side body. And as you finish your second breath, slowly come back to center in your child pose. Nice breath here. And then we'll go on to the other side. So side bending over to the right side, reaching, lengthening with that torso, and then finding the edge where you want to hold yourself. Again, your choice on the positioning of your arms, whether both arms are out in front, whether you bring the right arm to the lower back, and then also whether you want to keep the left arm outstretched or bend that left elbow. And again, resting the head on the arm if that feels good. If you find yourself engaging the neck, or if the neck feels uncomfortable, that might be a good thing to do, is to rest that head on your arm. And we'll take a few big breaths here. Awareness now to the top of the left hip area, all the way through the waistline, the rib cage, the left shoulder, opening up that left side body. Taking 2 more big breaths. And then with the next breath, releasing, coming back to center, back into that child pose. On the inhale, slowly come back up. Coming back into table pose at first, maybe a little wagging of the tail. And you might even wag the head to look for that tail. And then slowly just bring yourself seated. Just take a moment to find that seat, that comfortable seat. Maybe you bring your blanket or your cushion underneath, if that helps to lift the pelvis. Relax the shoulders back and down. Soften the face, close your eyes or find a focus point, and just take a moment to notice how you feel. Notice how the spine feels, the area around the spine, the shoulders, the hips, the neck. Notice how all of that feels. Allowing yourself to enjoy, hopefully, the sense of release, ease, opening that you have created for yourself. So I hope you enjoyed this short practice, this tension relieving practice, and I hope you'll join me again soon for some more. Thank you. Namaste.